Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House. It's House Motion number 42. On this day, I come forth with you with an amendment in regards to House Bill 1001. This amendment is based on two elements, ladies and gentlemen. First, we listened to those individuals who came their ways and means on the coldest day of this year. They came and we listened to what they had to say in regards to 1001. We try to accommodate our constituents' requests in the most responsive and responsible manner possible. Our amendment that we have as House Democrats addresses the priorities that we have as Democrats. We have significant movement from our perspective in regards to our biennial budget. As looking at unfunded programmatic challenges that we have. Furthermore, we fiscally, ladies and gentlemen, are responsible as possible in the conclusion of the biennium with a higher balance that we can have for our state by ensuring that significant revenues is to provide, fund, and demonstrate needs of our state and what our state faces. There are some main areas, ladies and gentlemen, that we want to address. First, we've had a lot of discussion about teacher pay raise. We do a 5% pay raise, supplemental pay increase in the biennium for all public school teachers, both traditional and charters. This is real money. We had talked about, the governor has presented his budget, but we still had to figure out where those dollars come from. But we have, in our proposal, a way to pay for that. We want to help our governor. We want to help our governor bridge that gap. He's created the Next Level Teacher Pay Commission, and it's about a couple of years in developing a solution, and we want to help. May not be any teachers on there, but we want to help. Second, as a caucus, we're looking at doubling funding by providing $50 million additional for pre-K program. You've heard the discussions, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to pre-K. Yes, the budget talks about $20 million, but be mindful, we had that pilot project for a number of years, and we did not totally spend those dollars. We had $12 to $16 million that didn't get out the door. But we're going to create another 500 spots for those students. But we're not going to expand the program. I think all school corporations, all counties should be able to have a preschool program. And we're talking about a pilot. Western Michigan, since 1967, did a longitudinal study on pre-K and kindergarten and those students. 1967. Harvard Kennedy School also did a study in regards to 0 to 30, 0 to 30 months and 0 to 3 years on early learning. I was part of that task force and what it really means in regards to better outcomes for our students. We want to continue to fund it. I mean, we know the whereases. Therefore, what are we going to do in regards to expanding the preschool program? We've given up $80 million at one point in a previous administration. We had another program that we quit funding in regards to preschool, full-day kindergarten. We've given up more than what we achieved. Superintendent McCormick came and did her budget presentation to the House Ways and Means, and we talked about the inadequate funding of textbook reimbursement program, saying that only 60% of those dollars make it to the textbook reimbursement program. We don't do anything for summer school, gifted and talented, and other programs that are important to our educational outcomes. So what we're asking that we require our state to have a portal like other school corporations in regards to the House Bill, I think 1003, that talks about 85%. Well, we need to do it also in regards to our dollars that we put toward education. School safety. In our proposal, we asked for $150 million in regards to school safety. Not just for the physical security. If you remember, those of us that were here last year, we asked for $100 million, and $75 million is going toward the infrastructure of the schools, and $25 million is going toward school resource officers. It was shot down because it was a budget year. It wasn't a budget year. These officers on the front line of protecting our children, and the amount of funding provided by this amendment ensures that all types of schools, urban, rural, suburban, are realistically have access to funding in regards to their schools. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't remember or don't recall, we have over 1,000 school buildings in our state. In some cases, even some of them only receive a penny in regards to protecting their students or their schools. What about the unmet infrastructure that we have in regards to the choice program? This proposed amendment does address that. We have 200 to 300 people that are still waiting for the choice program. We funded at $54 million. I know the other budget brings it back up to $48 million, but guess what? We want to eliminate it. And $54 million will eliminate the choice waiting list. We talked a lot recently about infant mortality and morbidity. We put dollars in regards to that because that's something that is very important to all of us, our children. Before they get to kindergarten, we want them to reach kindergarten. At one point, we had been, our morbidity rate for infant mortality is higher than Cuba. That's something that I don't like to wave that flag on. Our amendment also ensures that in the biennium we'll look at CDC funding in regards to tobacco master dollars that we have, because we are not funding our prevention cessation programs at the level that we should according to CDC. When we first had the tobacco master settlement program, we funded it great with prevention cessation programs. Every year we just begin to switch it off and take more of it. And we talk about that, but we don't do anything in regards to prevention cessation programs. Then we talk about this amendment also looks at our state's infrastructure and historical and cultural preservation needs about $5 million to address our mass transportation. We provide funding for the Hoosier State Amtrak line in Chicago's and points beyond. We provide funding for water infrastructure. That's about $150 million being set aside by Department of Natural Resources. And hopefully those dollars, we also talk about those dollars not reverting back to the general fund. Our natural resources are continued to be protected by the doubling of Heritage Trust Fund and cultural resources. This is part of our budget. We'll go on and on about it because I know we have some questions in regards to our budget. But one thing that I do want to say is about in regards to our toll road dollars. Our budget is built on the $1 billion that we got from the toll road. We also look at $120 million that we received from, where at one point as a state we did student loans, and there's dollars there, that we're looking at those dollars to help build our budget, about $120 million. The dollars are there. So as we added these provisions to our amendment, to our House motion, we ask that you support it. Our goal is to continue to build a budget that is fair, that is equitable, and generates as much, if not more, than the current budget in 1001. I hope that we all know that we love to have the AAA bonding also as a state, that we want to do more with our state, but we can build a budget by utilizing dollars that we do have, and that at the end of the proposed budget of $455 million in reversion, that's a lot of money, and we can take some of those dollars and help continue to build a budget that is meaningful for all, not just a few. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House.